How's it going, guys? And welcome to another session of the Let's Talk show by Interlingua. As usual, I am your host, Mike Ruiz. Good to see everyone. Good to see that some of you are tuning in a weekly basis. Be sure to also participate in the comments to leave, your opinions. If you can relate to some of the things that we discuss, that we talk about during our sessions, share that with us. That will help us a lot. And I believe that some of you are going to be, quite interested in today's topic, because if you are here, that means that you are either students or educators. And that's what we're going to cover today. Education today, in general terms, it has been going through some changes because of the pandemic, because of modernization. Everything just keeps moving, and education is not safe from change, from modernization. Everything is new as time goes by. But today, we are going to have the experience of either students and educators. One of them is actually both. And she's our first guest. She has been previously in the Let's Talk show, and she's now back, making her triumphant return. Let's bring out Fernanda. How you doing? Hey.
Hi, Mike.
Good evening, Fer. Good to see you. Oh, I'm a little cold. I'm not gonna lie, a little cold, but it feels good to have you back here. Thank you so much for coming back. Some of the regular viewers are already familiar with you, but for those who are just tuning in, could you tell them, please, what was your major degree about, who, if I'm not mistaken, you just recently finished?
Yes, I did. I studied my bachelor's degree in applied linguistics at UNAM. So applied linguistics is the study of language applied to different disciplines. I finished studying June 2021, and I presented my thesis and got my diploma June 2022, so 6 months ago.
All right. Are there any facts or aspects about your career that took you maybe by surprise, like something that was harder than you thought it was going to be, something that you didn't expect, or something that was way easier than you thought?
Okay, so overall, I think my college university experience was easier than I thought it was going to be. But I think that is because I'm really in love with my discipline. And I am really in love with studying. I have always been academically inclined, so that made it easy for me. And I think what is the hardest part of my degree is letting go of prejudices. You have to be very flexible with the information that you take in, because you have to basically rewire everything you know about language, So that's hard. That's a lot of introspection. But it was also very interesting doing that.
So you just mentioned that you were always academically inclined. When did you define that? At one point in your life, you said, you know what? I think this is my thing.
Oh God. Well, since I was little, I always did great in school. Always had good grades. Those award ceremonies at the end of the year. But I think I noticed that when I was going to choose my degree, when I was in high school and we were taking this orientation tests and stuff like that. I was a bit more inclined to the research part, to the theory part, to the reading and analyzing part, instead of, I don't know, business or going directly to the arts or directly to STEM, you know. Not that I am invalidating the academic profile of those disciplines, of course not. But like seeing what my friends were choosing, or now seeing like my cousin, my sister, who are in that age, choosing what they're going to do. Yeah, I think it was a bit more defined from there.
So, do you think that if you hadn't taken that test, your choice about what to study further in life would have been, harder?
Oh God. That's funny. Because I knew that I wanted to study linguistics before taking the test. The test just like cemented that decision. But before I found what the discipline was, because it's not very common, before that I was completely lost in what I was going to study. Like, we've all been there, I think. But yeah, it was like day and night. Like the breakthrough of discovering what linguistics was said it for me.
Okay. You went through, as a student, you went through one of the most notorious events in our century, which was the COVID pandemic. So, doing my calculations, my head hurt a little bit by doing that. Doing my calculations, you started with your bachelor's degree before the pandemic. So you probably went through all of that during your studies. Am I right?
Yes.
How was it for you to handle that transition from having presential classes, for being in a classroom, to all of the sudden be behind a monitor and receiving your education the way we are right now?
Okay, so I was in sixth semester when the whole thing started, and it was only a switch from in-person to online classes. I was studying in a different city. So I am from Hidalgo, and when I got to university, I moved to Mexico City, and then I had to look back. I had to leave friends. I had to leave the people that I was living with. So it was weird, like, because I had created like this person in Mexico City, like this person that was studying in Mexico City, and then I had to come back home with my family and be that person, but then I have the responsibilities of the person that was living with her family, and it was all weird because my sister was here all the time, and I was here all the time, and we couldn't get away from each other. And it was also a very weird stage to move to online classes, because I was starting the whole process of writing my thesis and getting to the very good part of the degree. So I had to endure all of that basically alone. In the degree, the last year, you have to choose like concentration, let's say. And the one I chose, I was the only student. So I was completely alone in my classes. It was me and the teachers. Like, I couldn't even like get out and talk with my friends on the hall because you couldn't.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my.
And it was a whole thing, learning how to work Zoom and Google Classroom, and forgetting to mark your tasks as done, and waiting for your teachers to answer your emails, or getting emails from your teachers at like 3 a.m. It was weird. I am glad that it happened like right at the end of my degree, because I was tutoring students that started their degree with the pandemic. So
Wow.
it was hard for them because they didn't know anyone like face to face. They had to like kind of find their way through everything, basically, like administration, teachers, homework, subjects. Everything was online. Everything was completely isolated. So yeah, I am kind of glad that it happened to me like right at the end, because I think the ones that had it at the beginning had the most, like the hardest process.
However, did something that was probably changed during that stage stayed with you until the very end? Like, some institutions really changed the whole format. Did that happen to you?
And I don't think so. I'm trying to think. Because again, I couldn't see the return to normal classes, so I don't know how they manage it. I think the only thing that stayed was that they changed the admissions exam to completely online, and that's it.
All right. Now, however, after all of that, you came out on top. Like you said, you presented your thesis, you completed that, you fulfilled that goal. I like that way better. You fulfilled that goal. However, you are now, as I understand, in a different journey. You obtained a scholarship to study your master's degree in the USA.
Yes.
So could you please, if I may ask you, could you please share with us, how did you obtain that opportunity? What did you go through to actually be selected for that?
Oh God. A lot. I'm sure it was a lot.
Naturally.
I was awarded a Fulbright scholarship for this year's cohort, and it's a whole process. So like it was announced on September 2021, and I think it was September, yes, and it closed on February 2022. So what you have to do is you have to be basically very good at what you do. You have to be a very good student. You have to be also passionate about your discipline. And what's the most important part of this is that you need to have a purpose. It's called binational exchange. So you're not just going to the US because the US. No, the whole point of this scholarship is for scholars or academics to create bridges between the US and Mexico in their own disciplines. So you have to, again, be very passionate about your discipline, and you have to know to have a project that you want to do and that you can help fulfill or build these bridges. And it was a lot because they ask for a lot. They want to make sure that they are selecting the best people, you know. It was doing a lot of standardized tests. There is this thing called the GRE, which is a nightmare. You have to send the test. You have to have proof of your average in university, you have to present a plan of what you're going to do with your studies, both when you are there and when you come back. Yeah, so that's the first part. After you have done all that, it's the later part, because they tell you you have been pre-selected for interviews or not. I got my interview, oh my God, I think it was April. I think it was April. And they told me that I was a recipient of the scholarship in June 2022. So actually it was the day that I presented my thesis. And because my thesis committee was also part of my recommendation, of my recommenders, I got to tell them face to face. And I cried a lot. And
Naturally.
And I am starting classes in the US September of this year.
Good luck on that one, and congratulations, by the way. Have you been giving any information that in which you probably have noticed any differences in the educational system in the US compared to the one in Mexico?
Oh, I think the main difference that I found is in the whole application part. Like if you want to apply to university in the US and apply to Mexico, it's a whole different process. Like what I found, like the main differences is the standardized tests. Like you apply a test for the university that you want to go in. But over there, you have to present like specific tests that are created by one. I forgot the name of the thing. It's not a business. Well, it is, but not what I mean. Well, the thing is, you have to present these very specific tests. You need to have certain scores depending on the university that you want to go. You need recommendation letters. You need to present some proof of, they are very keen on extracurriculars, on voluntary work. Like if you're volunteering somewhere, that also like adds points to your application. Also letters. I think we don't write letters when you want to apply to college here in Mexico. Over there, you need to write letters. There's like a statement of purpose letters, which is like why you want to like go into this specific university. There is this personal statement letters, which is like, okay, who are you? Like, what can you present to us? Like, what you can give to the university, you know? And those seemed a bit weird for me because you definitely don't do that here. Like, I remember when I wanted to go into that degree, it was just like present my average from high school and take the exam for the specific university that I want to go in. And yeah. So whether it's process, you gotta know the Pope if you want to go to university.
Luckily, there will be a lot more differences that you will find. And I'm saying that because, I mean, for you to get a very interesting experience out of this journey you're about to embrace. Congratulations again on that one.
I'll tell you soon about that.
Yes, please. I'm excited for you. I'm so excited for you. Let me give you the opportunity for the viewers to get to know you a little bit better, because it is now time of the rapid fire session. No. Number 1. Presential education or online education?
Presential 100%.
Best time of the day to teach classes or to take classes, morning or the afternoon/evening?
I'm a morning person.
As a teacher, do you prefer following a system or to create your own style of teaching?
Oh my God. A bit of both. It's better to have structure, kind of a pizzazz to it.
It's valid. It's valid. As a student, working in teams or individually?
In teams, if you can choose your team.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. But okay. Okay. And finally, the golden one. What current way of teaching do you find to be outdated?
Oh my God. Current way of teaching. Oh, the teacher writes the lesson on the board and you have to copy it, and that's all you do in the whole class. I hate that.
Okay. And my dear Fair, thank you so much for joining us tonight, for participating one more. As usual, you're always welcome here.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here.
Glad to. And for our viewers, stay tuned, because we have one more guest who also have a very interesting experience to share with us. Keep tuning in. See you later, Fernanda.
Bye.
Ciao.
My first experience as a bartender was actually when I was like 14 years old, and my dad taught me how to do Bloody Marias, which is the twist on the classic Bloody Mary. Instead of vodka, you use tequila. And also he taught me how to do palomas, and that was just like to help him, serve drinks. And then eventually, after like doing a lot of stuff in my life, I started to work as a cook in the States, in New Hampshire. I was actually working as a cook in a Mexican restaurant, and that's actually what I developed my English. That in that experience. So I was kind of like coming back and forth to the States, like doing this, and I was like very into the F&B industry, right? Like I wanted to open a restaurant because I know now how to cook, and I knew about the service already, and I learned there. And I was also at the same time I was like very into traveling. I mean, I'm very into traveling. Like that's what I live for. That was when I started, right? So all I wanted to do is travel and cook. And that taught me like this. I mean, he actually showed me this newspaper announce about like in the job section, this advertising about like going to Dubai to work as a bartender, as a waiter. I didn't knew anything about Dubai by that time, like I didn't know anything about Dubai by that time. I was not even interested, but I was like, anyways, I want to travel, like let's just apply, let's see what's going on, I didn't even think that I was gonna move from the kitchen. Like I was very into the kitchen. I really like to cook. It's one of my skills, and one of the things like now is one of my like a precious hobby, right? But I applied. I passed through a couple of filters, and then this company, which is called Emirates Leisure Retail, came here to Mexico City to recruit people from Mexico and take them to Dubai. Sorry, and I passed the whole interviews, and I remember very well like the executive director, which was there, like interviewing me. He told me like, and I think like you have potential for a bartender. So I was like, okay, yeah, let's be a bartender. So they hired me to work as a bartender in a bar, in a Jack Daniels bar. This bar was in the international airport in Dubai, the one that is from Emirates Airline. It was by that time was the biggest airport in the world, and it is like huge, like huge, huge, huge. Like I used to travel half an hour from the drop point of the bus to the actual bar, like because I had to take like a couple of trains inside of the airport and then like walk like probably a mile, like just to get into the bar. But it was very interesting, it was very tiring at the end because I was like, this was a 24/7 bar, so it was open the whole day, and we have like 3 different shifts, and eventually when I step up as a head bartender, like I had to do like this crazy shift from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m., and it was like really, really exhausting. But anyways, I learned a lot from that experience. I grew up, like really quick, there because like as I told you before, like it just came natural, like I came back, they put me in the bar and they showed me how to do an old fashioned. And then it was like, I've done it like my whole life. And I was like traveling, like Dubai is like a super cosmopolitan city. Like you find people from all over the world, so you get to know a lot of cultures, and hospitality industry is huge, like Dubai is just about tourism. So they don't have money, to be honest, like there are the airlines and hospitality, and like all the money, all the oil is in Abu Dhabi. And but that time, like it was still like not that even popular, like it was exclusive. Not even a lot of people knew about Dubai. And I was working there in a Mexican bar restaurant called Tortuga. So it was kind of like a good experience. But then eventually, like I got tired because they were like really like exploiting a lot to the staff. And I started like to also like open my network there, and I realized that I was like I had the potential to do like something better, like to step up. And because I was not like that much young, like I actually started my bartending career when I was 26, and then I got a job in an independent restaurant in Emirates Financial Tower, which is next to the IFC, which is the financial center of Dubai, and it's like very high end, like all the restaurants and bars there, they're very high end because like there's a lot of people, money there. It's kind of like the Wall Street of Dubai. I stayed here in Mexico for 4 months, right? And I start to see what was happening in the scene here in Mexico City, and I start also like to try a lot of the Mexican spirits and it was fascinating for me, I kind of like got this like call of the Mexican spirit. So I was like, no, like I need to work in Mexico, right? Because firstly, I'm Mexican, and everybody out there, like they hope, they expect that you are an expert on Mexican spirit, on tequila, on mezcal, and now in Mexican spirits. It's just like something like they assume you are, like, you're from Mexico, you must know a lot about tequila. And when you're here in Mexico, like there's actually not a lot of Mexicans know about tequila, like the most of the people in Mexico drink actually Bacardi Blanco, But then I start working in a beautiful place called Casa Franca, which is a jazz bar in La Roma, and that kind of like re-inspired me, right? One of my partner. I met him there, right? And I loved it, like to be there, the bar where I was like going all the time. I work as a brand ambassador of Posh. Posh is a Mexican spirit from Chiapas. This brand's called Siglo Cero. And I started to work with them. I worked for a few months with them as a brand ambassador. And then we started to work with this company, with this distribution company called Traficante, which is a Mexican spirits distribution company. And then they offered me a better position, and a better job as a brand ambassador. I was managing actually 30 brands of Mexican spirits between mezcales, tequilas, Posh, Sotol, Raicilla, Mexican beers, Mexican wines. beers as well, like Mexican liquors. And it was amazing, to be honest. That part, I really, really, really enjoy it. I was living like in a nice place here in Mexico City. I was living in Colonia Nápoles. So anyways, it was amazing working as a brand ambassador. I got bored then eventually of Mexico, and I wanted to travel again to Dubai. I did that. I got a job as a restaurant manager there. And that was like probably a story for another interview, because I learned a lot in that, because it was a very hectic time there in the hotel where I worked and in the restaurant specifically. But going through that, like, teach me a lot, like in 2 years, it was like a 10 years experience for me, for all that I have, everything that I have to do and solve and everything that I live there. In European Bartender School, I actually got to find it in the Italian restaurant that I worked, because I hired this Lithuanian lady that did the course of the European Bartender School in Milano, right? She used to live a long time there, but she bragged a lot about the course. So I was like, okay, like, what is this? So I went to the website and I started to scroll and go through the brand. And I was amazed, by the structure of the course, all the topics, all the procedures, like you see all the reviews. There's nothing like this in Mexico, and Mexico has that much potential, right? So I was like, this has to be here. So I contacted them and I was like, like, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a bartender, and I'm interested. They were like, okay, just send us a bio. I sent them my CV and a bio, and then I was let in. So I like, okay, let's move on. I went back to Dubai, and when I was in Dubai working in that hotel, and I also applied to be an instructor in European Bartender School. I went through all the filters, and then at the end, like, they were like, we love your style, we love your profile, but we need people that speaks German and Swedish, but because we have already a lot of English, Spanish speakers. So I was like, okay, I'll let it go. But then the pandemic came, right? Thanks to that, I have to come back here to Mexico City from Dubai. But then in the middle, like, it was in July of 2020, they contacted me from EVS and they were like, hey man, like, we can see that the market in Mexico is ready to open a school. We're interested. Are you still in? And I was like, yeah, for sure. I mean, so I called my partner. I was like, man, like, we have to do it. He didn't have a clue about what we're gonna do, but he was like, okay. And we start to get the approval budget, the approval plan, and so on. We go through all those filters. We won the franchise entitlement, and we start to work in the project at the beginning of 2021. We were gonna go to Greece and to Chile to do the courses, the respective courses that we need to do, but the pandemic was still like, and we have to do it until September of 2021, which was amazing. We went to Barcelona, to the headquarters, to visit like everyone there. I have a few meetings, and then we went to Mallorca, where we did our international bartender course in order that we understand how this course needs to be taught, right? Because this is the main course of European Bartender School. And then we did the Instructors Academy in order to come back and start to set up the school. We took kind of 6 months in order to set it up, because of the bureaucracy, of Mexico in general, because we didn't find the right place to build it. We were able to open it, and now we are leading to our fourth international bartender course, fourth generation international bartender course, which is gonna be now in March. We are doing a great job, forming new generations. So if you guys ever want to start an international bartender career, you can look us in Google as Bar School CDMX, and you'll find our website. You're gonna have an amazing time, life-changing experience.